Klobuchar in third. It's been very consistent.
It's been very consistent. It was 5 a while ago. It's 4 now, 4 and some change. 8 points between the third place finisher and the top of the finisher. The basic framework, though, has stayed, moving within the margins here. And again, for the lower tier candidates here, Warren and Biden especially, if you keep going down, you see if you come. This is getting a little finicky on me here, but you see Steyer, Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, Michael Bennet. That's why Yang and Michael Bennet are saying goodbye tonight. But this right here, New Hampshire's going to send 3 people out of the state with some bragging rights. At the moment, it looks like Sanders is in the lead, and we'll see if that holds up. But you have these 2 more centrists, but again, don't over-apply that. They both try to dip into the liberal wing of the party as well in certain ways, and they have appeal. This is a tough night when you look at that, especially given her career there. But if you look at her proximity to here. But if you look at the votes coming in, what's interesting about it, especially after 4 years ago, you had a 2-candidate race. So you had in New Hampshire almost all Sanders and just a little bit Clinton. Now that you do have Buttigieg is the light green, Klobuchar is the darker green, and predominantly Bernie Sanders in the light blue filling in, holding up that margin. But with all this blue Sanders, how is it that it's relatively close? It is because Buttigieg and Klobuchar are running second and third, and no other candidates are really performing at a high level across the state. I just want to click through some. These are small rural counties up the top. I'm just trying to see the margins. 100% in, you see 69 votes wins you the township here. You move down here, Tamworth as well. Again, 100% in here. So in these smaller, more rural townships, the votes coming in these places, and Sanders is winning, but not by a ton in them. So let's come over to some of the other places you watch more closely. 100% in Portsmouth now. We looked earlier tonight. That was at 67% last time we looked. 26, 23, 22. Senator Warren getting into double digits in this part of the state, but even though it's higher than her statewide total, that's a disappointment in that you have proximity to the Massachusetts border, along the eastern, the water's right here, off here, progressive part of the state, and Sanders beating her 2-1, and the 2 more centrists coming in and beating her as well. So that's disappointing there. Again, Sanders won that before. You come across the swath here, the state, up to 60% in Concord. Very close. Klobuchar had the early lead here. Sanders pulling away, but look how close the top 3 candidates are. Again, this is your state capital, more of a government town, more of a will establishment town, but Sanders winning there as he did 4 years ago as well. Manchester's the largest population center. This is where you have, this is his lead. I mean, if you look at it, a 12-point gap here. When you look at the statewide numbers, there's 2,000 there. That's a big piece of it.
83% of the vote in Manchester.
Yeah, but the key in a close race is to run it up a little bit where there are more people.
Yeah.
And this is where you find the most people in the state of New Hampshire. We're done here in Bedford. I keep mentioning it only because it will be bragging rights here. Hillary Clinton won the town of Bedford. Affluent, Republican, suburban. The 2018 elections, the Democrats thought we're starting to do some movement in places like this. Maybe it'll be red in November. But Klobuchar will try to claim some bragging rights there. And again, I want to go back there just for a second. As we look through the night, come back down here to Bedford. And again, in the sense that it's one race. But if you're expected to do very well somewhere, that Amy Klobuchar, not Elizabeth Warren, not even on the screen here in Bedford, 8% in Bedford. If you're talking about trying to convince I can win suburban women in Republican areas, that Amy Klobuchar, not Elizabeth Warren, has this filled in, will be part of the conversation coming out of New Hampshire tomorrow. And again, you see the southern part of the state. You were talking to Evan and Nashua earlier before any votes came in. Now we're up to 44%. You start to see what happens. Once they start to come in, they start to come in. You complimented the state of New Hampshire earlier. I will join you in that compliment so far. 29 to 25 to 18 if you round them up with 44%. Same 3 candidates anywhere you look.
Show us the population where the major population is, and how much of the vote remains outstanding in those the major populated areas in the southern part of the state.
Right. Two different ways you can look at this. Number one, you just start with the population centers. You see the gray. That means we're still waiting. Right. The larger the circle, the larger the population. Manchester's your biggest, Concord, Nashua. These are your 3 biggest population centers. You come over here to Portsmouth there. There's a lot of gray still. We're waiting for votes there. That's one way to look at it. You can come back out here, too, and come over here. Excuse me for stepping in front of you, Wolf. You come over here. These are the townships showing 100% reporting or less, so you see everything there. Just pull this over a little bit. 67% reporting or more. We've still got a lot of places where we're waiting for votes to come in there. But again, even as we're waiting for more votes to come in, and some places are moving up into the 50s and the 60s, what has been so interesting about this is sometimes in a close race, you bounce around a little bit. The basic structure of this race has held up pretty consistently. That doesn't mean it will stay that way. We're at 35% as we go through it. But I just want to come back here for 1 second to see if we have more. We did 67% there. as we come out and make this go away so we see the rest of it. Getting a little finicky there. I'll come back to that a little bit later. Well, I'm stuck on it now, so I got to come out of it. See, the technology's getting a little finicky because of some heat.
All right. While you're fixing
I'll
that,
fix that. You come back to me in a minute.
I'm going to go to David Chalian. He's got some more exit poll numbers. David.